Hi, friends. Welcome back to... Stop looking at me like that.
Oh, me? I didn't do nothing, bro.
Welcome back to episode 3 of the Bare and Brutal podcast. If you couldn't already tell, I have our very first guest. He wasn't supposed to talk yet, but it's fine. Our very first guest of the Bare and Brutal podcast is Michael Liu, my very own boyfriend. Ugh. Yep, I'm booed up. How do I introduce you? He farts a lot.
What the fuck?
He's my lover. He works for a butter company.
Yeah, I churn butter for a living.
He works for Land O'Lakes. He's good with numbers and clickety-clacketing on his laptop. On his keyboard every morning when I'm trying to sleep. He's a man of many accomplishments that I'm not actually giving any justice to right now. But, yeah. Say hi, baby.
Oh, wait, you call me baby in front of everybody like that? Oh, man. All right.
Can you be normal?
You don't like PDA, but you be doing this?
Can you be normal?
Okay, wow. Okay. Hey, I'm Michael.
Ew!
I'm currently looking at Michelle, and we're just having a grand old time, just laughing at each other and looking at each other.
Bro, shut the fuck up.
I guess my face is really freaking ugly or something like that. That's why she keep laughing every other second.
You guys, this is not his normal voice. I told him to be normal.
It is my
I know it's not. No, it's not. It's just you and me in this room, bro.
Your brother
gave
us bronchitis.
No.
Okay? And I'm like sick. I'm done.
Yes, he's correct. I've been sick, deathly sick for the past week. We had dinner with my oldest brother, 2 Sundays ago, and he had freaking bronchitis. I'm like, why the hell did you show up to eat dinner when you had bronchitis? But it's fine. I'm immunocompromised, so I was like, I'm for sure probably gonna get something. And I did get sick. I don't think I got bronchitis though, because I've had that before, and it wasn't that. I think I just had a common cold. But now I'm healing. I'm like the last tail end of it. And now Michael apparently is also getting sick, which he's so in denial because he says, oh, I don't get sick. Because every time I'm sick, I'm like, oh, don't kiss me. Like, I need to quarantine myself. And he's like, no, I'm invincible. I don't get sick. I have the best immune system ever. And then he gets sick. And then you're such a big ass baby.
No, I'm not.
You're literally such a big baby.
You're the baby.
I literally I worked out. I did all my things still last week. I went to a fucking rave on Saturday.
You know, that's the reason why. See.
No.
This is the reason why we had the liver incident.
Okay,
right.
Don't.
Let me go.
No, we're not bringing that up.
Oh, we're not?
No, we're not.
Okay. She almost died of kidney disease.
I got a UTI, and it transformed into a kidney infection, okay?
Yeah, but she put it off so much to the point where we thought we had to take her to the hospital because she passed out on the ground at work.
It was NBD. It was no big deal. Okay?
It's no big deal. I'm at your funeral.
I'm just dying. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
But that's how we're different. You're literally the biggest fucking baby I've ever met.
I'm not.
When you're sick. And I just try to act like I'm not, even though I'm dying inside. And then he forgets that I'm sick. So he tries to do regular activities with me. And he's like, Billy, come on, let's go do this. I'm like, I'm sick.
Yeah, she does a good job of hiding it. A real good job.
You're being so awkward right now.
Me?
Yes.
No, I'm not.
It's okay, Sluggy.
What? I'm actually having fun.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. He had a rough day today.
Yeah.
I gave him 20 minutes to decompress, even though he said he didn't need 20 minutes to decompress.
I don't need it.
But he was kind of being a little asshole earlier. So I was like, I think you need some time. And then we gave him some time, and I think you feel a little better.
Yeah.
Whatever.
What are we talking about today?
Can we talk about how you said that I sound like fucking Sadness from the Inside Out movie? So, okay, we listened to my episodes, right? Because, support a boyfriend. And I always have to hear how the episode sounds so I can, get more feedback and improve on it, right? And so I asked him, oh, what's some feedback you can give me? Like, what do you think about my podcast so far? And he's like, I love it. But I don't know, your voice, like, it just sounds like, what is that character? The annoying one who's blue and Inside Out. Like, Sadness? You said I sound like fucking Sadness?
Yeah. And also, like how Sadness just draws out like that.
No, so then I told him, well, think of what I'm fucking talking about in the past episodes. I'm literally talking about my life in shambles. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm unemployed and I'm sad. Of course I'm going to talk about those things in a sadder tone. Like, you know what? Joy from Inside Out was the most fucking annoying bitch on that freaking movie, okay? And actually, Sadness was the hero of Inside Out. Thank you very much.
Was she?
Fuck you in the most disrespectful way, and fuck Joy in an equally disrespectful way.
Joy's awesome. I thought she was amazing.
Sadness literally was the hero at the end, because they were like, oh, she like empathized and validated people's emotions, and all Joy wanted to do was be positive.
That's really just like representative of our personalities.
Yeah.
So I'm the more optimistic one in our relationship.
No.
She's the one that's just like, no, oh, red flag, nope, red flag.
What are you trying to say right now?
Huh?
What are you trying to say right now?
You're more cautious. You're more like, oh, I'm more pessimistic. You look
depressed?
I wouldn't say that. I would say you're always skeptical of everything. And I'm more trusting of everything.
You mean like smart and observant?
No, I won't.
You would for sure get murdered by a serial killer.
Yeah, but we don't live in that world right now.
Oh, we don't live in that world right now?
I don't live in that world.
Yes, because you're a man. Yeah. Yes. You have that dick privilege.
Oh, is that what we're calling it?
That's what I'm calling it.
Okay.
Anyways, I think Sadness was a great character. If y'all think I sound like Sadness, I don't think I sound like Sadness right now, because obviously the topic that we're talking about does not require you to have a more serious tone.
You don't sound like Sadness right now because I gave you that feedback.
Oh no. Let's not give credit to you. Just no.
And then I told you to speed up the voice like 1.5 to 2 times.
Oh, yeah. He told me my first episode, he said he sped up the podcast speed to like fucking, what?
2.5
times. 2.5 times. I literally sound like a fucking chipmunk.
Yeah.
And he's playing it in the car. I'm like, can you even understand what I'm saying? He's like, yeah, I got it all.
And then she pauses it. And then she pauses it and asks me, hey, what did I say in the last like 30 seconds? And I couldn't answer it.
You gave me like the last sentence.
I did give you the last sentence.
We're moving on. We are moving on. So, today's episode, since you're my boo thing and all, I wanted to talk about a topic that I saw in a TikTok video a while ago, actually.
Okay.
Because I remember I was making notes for my podcast and like topics I want to talk about. So I think I sent you this video, like, I don't know, months ago, and it was this girl talking about the 5 stages in a relationship.
Okay.
And those 5 stages entail the honeymoon phase. Obviously, everyone knows that.
It's the greatest phase.
Whatever. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
And then you move into differences. Like, this is where you realize, oh, we're actually not one person. We are completely different, or we have differences. And that can end in some conflict. And you're starting.
It's usually when you start getting miserable.
What?
It's usually when you start getting miserable.
Oh, that's nice.
Uh-huh.
That's nice. And then the 3rd stage is struggle.
Oh, that's depression right there.
And after struggle, if you made it through, it's repair.
I take that back. The repair is, it's actually the beginning of the greatest time.
Oh, that was kind of nice.
No, it is.
Okay. So after repair, then you turn into the enduring love stage. And then the picture I'm looking at, it's like a cycle. So the 5 stages is a cyclical cycle. And if you do it right, you go back to the honeymoon phase. And then somewhere along the way, you fuck up again and you go.
Oh, you telling me it's a never-ending cycle?
Yes.
Oh, no way.
Well, how do you think our relationship has been so far? That's literally our life.
I thought once you make it past the repair phase, you're good to go.
Hell no. You don't graduate. It's literally going to be like that for the rest of your fucking life.
No way.
I hate to break it to you.
You serious?
Yes. And they say that...
Maybe you lying.
No, I'm not lying,
Oh,
baby.
my God. Are you serious?
So, this article I was reading, it says the stages are cyclical. And it says, we begin in the honeymoon phase, we move through differences, struggle, repair, enduring love, and enter once again into the honeymoon phase. If the repair stage is done well, we will move through these stages throughout our relationship, creating more and more intimacy, trust, and safety. If we cannot repair well as a couple, the relationship may end in the struggle stage. Dun, dun, dun.
Actually, you know what? Think about this now. It's actually not a bad thing. It's a cyclical thing. Because... after you get past the repair phase, and what's the next phase after that?
After repairs, enduring love.
Then enduring love, and then you restart the whole entire cycle again. Mm-hmm. I believe that you progress towards the difference phase, and also the what's the next phase after that?
Struggle.
The struggle phase.
Depression. Yeah.
Yes, the depression phase. A lot faster because you develop tools and systems in place. Think about that now. Yeah. I think the reason why the first time or the first iteration of the cycle, it's so difficult because you don't have systems and tools built in place. You don't know each other yet. Mm-hmm. But what I come to learn over time is that every single day we're building a new system. We're building some way to communicate with each other in the way that we can talk to each other. So I believe the second, third, fourth, fifth iteration and so on, it just keeps getting faster and faster and faster. Mm-hmm. So it eventually gets to the point where you're doing this cycle like once every single day. Yeah. Possibly.
That's what it actually said in the article.
Man, I'm a freaking genius.
Whatever.
I'm a freaking genius.
I was going to say you're right, but I take it back just because you said that. So yes, it says that some of you might feel that you go through this whole cycle daily. And you might. It is entirely possible to go through the entire cycle in a day in a more mature relationship. Oh, are we mature?
More.
That's kind of... keyword is more.
Keyword is more.
More mature. That's a keyword. Generally speaking, with a new relationship, we spend about 0 to 2 years in the honeymoon phase. Oh, I think ours was cut a little short. What?
Oh, honeymoon phase?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I think you're talking about the next phase after that. Sorry.
In the honeymoon phase, although it can be longer, before the differences start to become apparent. In a new relationship where there has been little struggle, the couple will have to learn how to resolve conflict and whether their differences are insurmountable or not. That's a big word. Do you know what that means?
Yes. I do. I'm not that stupid.
I just had to check. Yeah, I think that our stages were different. I think stages, they vary in time and with different couples. Obviously, everyone's different. But us specifically, the reason I said our honeymoon phase was cut short, because I think that we quickly realized that we are very, very, very different people.
It was hell in the moment, but in the long term, it was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. Do you, make fortune cookies?
Yeah.
Because that was kind of good.
Oh, was it?
I feel like I would open up a fortune cookie at Panda Express and I would see that message.
Yeah. I would say, here's, you can't explain to them why it's a blessing in disguise.
Well, I was getting to that, bro.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Leave me. Go ahead and tell me.
So, we got together, gosh, we were both 18.
Yeah.
We met in December of 2017, so I had just turned 18 that August. You had turned 18
like a month earlier.
In October. Wait, was I? Yeah, I did turn 18. Right?
Wow, we met each other when we were babies.
Yeah.
Just think about that now. Oh, damn.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Anyways, we were very, very young. We were children. And I still think that we're so young and we're babies. But I think we've learned a lot. Back then, though, we ain't no shit. So, The reason I feel like we accelerated so quickly in our relationship was because we were so young and like we were very obsessed with, well, I think I was very obsessed with the idea of love and being in a relationship because I had some mad daddy issues and mommy issues and all the issues, and so do you. So it was just a perfect storm, I would say, for us to get together. And our honeymoon phase was great. I mean, we were on cloud 9.
That was freaking amazing.
Yeah, like it felt like I did a bump of cocaine, and I was like, yeah, like this is love. And then what?
Bump of cocaine.
Was that not a good analogy?
I mean, we never did cocaine.
No, just a disclaimer. We have never done cocaine, you guys. Oh, no. I don't know what that feels like. It was just hypothetically speaking. What the fuck? Mom, I've never done cocaine, I promise. Yes, so I feel like we loved really hard. I mean, but I don't think we understood truly what love was. I think our love in that honeymoon phase and in the beginning parts of a relationship are different than the kind of love that we've grown now over time. Yeah. And then what? I would say our honeymoon phase was how long? Like,
I'd say a year.
A year?
Yeah.
And then it just went to shit after a year.
Well,
okay, no.
I'll take that back. No.
It was like, I won't say it went to shit. I think it was, we had very, very high highs and hella fucking low lows.
Yeah.
So.
We did.
Yeah, I think our relationship was.
That was rough.
It was rough. It was a roller coaster.
It creates that, what's that concept that we're talking about where you love really high and then hate each other very, very low? Trauma bonding. Is it trauma bonding?
Yeah.
It's called trauma bonding.
Trauma bonding.
It just makes it your relationship or you love that person even more.
Oh, yeah.
And it makes it even more harder.
Like, we've talked about this so many times, our relationship, but we just had the perfect mix of insecurities and issues and attachments that went perfectly together.
Yeah.
In a disaster. Like, when I say you had all the red flags and I was like, ooh, red is my favorite color. Like, I tell him all the time, if I actually loved myself back then, I would not have stayed in the relationship. But
I'll agree.
I learned a lot. And not that I was perfect either. I was toxic as hell.
Oh, she was a monster.
I was a monster?
Oh, baby. Sometimes I would be scared of you. Because you're so crazy.
Oh, I like that.
No, you're
I like
crazy.
that you were scared of me.
There were some moments I didn't think I would come out alive.
Not you exposing me right now.
Oh, man.
No, yeah, I was super crazy.
Y'all don't ever date a Vietnamese girl that's just like new and fresh.
Yeah. I would have to say that I agree with that.
You gotta be prepared.
Vietnamese women are not for the weak. And I think, okay, so I think I needed someone who met my match. Like,
it's true.
Who could, I don't want to say handle because I hate that.
No, it's handle.
No.
I couldn't imagine if you dated someone that you just bully. You just bully. I feel
I'm not
bad
a
for
bully.
That guy. Oh, you're a bully, baby. But the difference between me is I don't put up with your shit.
Yeah. You do to a certain extent. And
no,
then,
I do to a certain extent, but then once it crosses the line, I'm like,
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
You call me out, which I need that. I think in the past, when I was with certain people who didn't match my energy in that way, I think I wasn't attracted to them.
That's called trauma.
Yeah, it is trauma. No, for real. No, it was trauma because I was like, oh, you're being so sweet and nice to me? Ew, that's disgusting. I'm not attracted to you whatsoever. Oh, you want to commit to me and like show me affection? Never mind, I'm out.
I don't really want to say name, but I'm not going to say name.
No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that.
Poor them.
But yeah, same for you though. Like, you you were a piece of work as well.
Oh, yeah. Man. Like, given the environment I grew up in.
Yeah. Same here.
Friends, families. It's just,
I think
inevitable for me to be like that.
I think when you get into your first real relationship,
you definitely discover, like, who you really are.
Yes. Well, I wouldn't say who you really are. I feel like who we were a reflection of the things that we observed and learned growing up. So I am not certain that, like, me being toxic, throwing shit and using my body as a block for your car. I don't know that was who I was, but it was.
I actually think I
examples of the way I saw love and relationships portrayed growing up.
I think it's actually at the very, very beginning. That's you, but that's the best part, though. That's the first version.
Okay.
You're like, whenever you're young, you just think about, like, when you're 20 or 30 years from now, you're just going to be completely different.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or worse.
Yeah.
Right? So, and if you think you're really, really, really bad, great. You hit rock bottom and you can keep the only way
is up, baby.
The only way is up. But I think the blessing with this, that our honeymoon ended so fast, was that I triggered you in the right ways, and you triggered me in the right ways to bring the absolute worst in ourselves.
Yeah.
When I say the absolute worst, I mean the absolute worst.
Yeah.
In all facets of life. When you think about it, we've done it.
Yeah.
But that's the best part, though. That's our base right there. Mm-hmm. That's where we can just evaluate and think about, like, at what point, what things can we need to work on to be better.
I think...
And now I believe that's our greatest strengths, because we know what we sucked at. Yeah. And the systems that we have in place to make us good.
So, I think we talked about this recently, actually, but this era in our relationship is probably the most healthiest.
It's the best fucking one.
And
it's the most peaceful.
On the same page we've been in the entirety of our relationship. I mean, we've been together almost 6 years. December will be 6.
That was 7.
Shut up. No, it was 6. December will be 6 years.
It would be 6. You know what? I think I met you at the end of 2017.
End of 2017.
When you start doing the math, it starts adding to 7.
And is our relationship perfect right now? No. But I think all of the shit we had to claw through and fight through and all that mess for the past 6 years, I think we're finally seeing our work come into fruition now in our relationship.
Systems.
Yeah.
Systems the key. I mean, it's the hardest thing to establish. It's like setting up infrastructure for anything.
So I think what Michael's alluding to is, I feel like we can both agree our biggest lessons that we learned, I guess the catalyst for how we improved our relationship, I would say, is learning about attachment theory. And yeah.
Attachment theory was... No. Actually, no.
No?
No.
What do you think?
Remember I told you that, like, attachment theory was only one piece of the puzzle. And, y'all, we'll talk about more about attachment theory in a second.
I thought you were addressing the audience.
No, for real.
Okay.
We will.
Yeah.
All right? But for me to understand an attachment theory and apply it, I need to be able to communicate and invalidate your emotions to begin with. Our first issue was that we didn't know how to communicate with each other.
languages.
Oh yeah, I guess you could say love languages. So you can say love languages first, then after that, learning how to communicate properly. Mm-hmm. After that, validation of emotions. Finally, the next step that I believe that we achieved was attachment theory. Mm-hmm. So I guess, do you want to start from the very beginning then?
And you outlined it in such a step-by-step way, and I feel like it's important to highlight how it was not really a progression like that. I feel like we are still working on those same things today, and I think 10 years from now we're still going to be working on these things perpetually. Like, we're always going to have to struggle with loving each other in the way that we want to be loved. We're always going to continue struggling and working on communication and validating, and still dealing with attachment theory now. Like, I think as we continue progressing in a relationship and we continue working and growing, we can morph into that secure attachment because it can be changed.
Yeah.
And
well,
I feel that we're getting closer there, but we're still definitely deep in our attachments in a way. But we've learned how to better cope with it and strategies.
I agree. It's okay. It's like she said it right. Like, it's not you just learn this concept and that's it. Your problems are fixed.
Yeah.
You just done. Congratulations. After you learn it, that's the easiest step possible.
Now you have to implement it.
Implementing it and executing on it.
Yeah.
Is the hardest fucking thing on earth. Because here's the reason why it's so hard. Say, for example, you're trying to improve your communication skills, right? And you're trying to be able to communicate in a way that doesn't criticize an individual or your partner so that you don't trigger them and then they don't trigger you, right? Well, for you to practice that, you would have to get in a fight and you would have to disagree about something too. Mm-hmm. And it's not like you can force it or you want to do that.
Yeah.
But you just have to wait for it to happen and then you practice. And then that's the hardest part too, because during that time, you're the most emotional state possible.
Yeah.
So I think that's what made it so long and so difficult. Was because we're waiting for those, like, occurrences to happen for you to practice and implement what you learn.
Well, when you say that, I think back to a lot of the times where I felt the most frustrated with you.
Yeah.
Even now, you have to remind me of that a lot because we would have these breakthroughs, you know, where we're on the same page. We're talking about what we need to change and how we need to do better.
And what you learned.
Yes, what we learned. How, okay, from this moment forward, here's how I'd like you to communicate to me, or here's how you should show love to me. And then when we get into those moments, like you're saying, into an argument or whatever, emotions are so high and, you know, it didn't happen immediately. And that would frustrate me so much because I was like, oh, you just don't fucking love me then. Because we already talked about this. How many times we have to fucking talk about this? Yeah. And you're still not changing. Mm-hmm. And I think that was my biggest frustration because I wanted it now. And not seeing it immediately like that, it made me feel not valued, not loved. Like I was just talking to a brick wall. How many times have I fucking said that? Yeah. And thinking back now, I mean, by no means is this an excuse for, you know, you dropping the ball or whatever, but I think I also should have extended more grace to you and more patience. Because the fact is, you, for at the time, 21 now, almost 25 years of your life, you've been like this person, right? And we're only practicing these things and these concepts for 2 to 3 years of our life in this relationship.
You know what? And that's a great point, because how many times have I told you, like, I've been like this for 20 years. Don't be surprised if it takes me another 20 years.
Yeah.
To be like, to be better.
And I remember I was like,
I remember you being so fucking pissed off, right? Because it all comes down to habits.
I think,
and building habits, it's repetition.
When I was young back then, I thought, you know, if he wanted to, he would. I mean, that's still something that circles around now. When people talk about men and relationships, they're like, oh, if he wanted to, he would. If he wanted to change, he would. If he wanted to love you in the way that you should be loved, he would. But I don't think that blanket statement is true when it comes to long-term relationships or relationships in general. Like, I think we were working against a lot of big, heavy things. Like, you were working against your own traumas growing up. You were working against, you know, generations and years of observations with your own family. And so was I. I'm working against my own traumas. I'm working against my attachment style.
You still haven't explained that yet.
We will. And all of these things, and it is so unrealistic for you to just change in a blink of an eye, like overnight. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, I felt like if I acknowledged and said that back then and said, hey, I understand why you haven't changed your communication immediately like this, or why you haven't done better immediately in this first fight where our first practices, I felt like that gave you permission to continue treating me in that way, or to continue dropping the ball if I acknowledged that. And yeah, I think in this case, if he wanted to, he would is kind of an overgeneralization. And I think sometimes we're sold this idea that things are that simple, like people should change. And I'm not saying that if you're in a toxic relationship, you should stick it out in that way if it's really shitty, you know? But there is some give and take. Like, at the end of the day, you have to decide and ask yourself, is this a person that I want to continue being with? Is it worth us? Do we both still want to work on these things?
Do you see that person improving based off their actions, not what they could potentially be?
Yeah.
That's the thing that was so hard for you, is that I think you learned this lesson really quickly about how you should accept the person as they are. How do you say it?
And accept the person as they are and not their potential,
yes,
who they could be.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest thing for people to learn at first, too. And the hardest thing is, like, you gotta learn that if you want to be with a person, right, and you want to make things work out, view their actions. What are their actions are saying? Because you've gotten mad at me so much because I'm a good sweet talker. I can talk my way out of things. Mm-hmm. And that's just the natural sales side of it, too, or sales skills. But you taught me that you gotta back what you say with actions.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what matters the most.
That's what I was saying. I tell him all the time, if I loved myself back then, I wouldn't have stayed as long as I did, because your actions didn't align with what you're selling me, right? We have a saying where you were like dangling the carrot. You were dangling this little carrot in front of my face, like, oh, I'm changing, or I've changed, I've done these things. And you would do it for, I don't know, a week or so. Yeah. But that's the thing with change. You have to continuously commit yourself to changing every single day. Yep. And that is hard because we're creatures of habit, and we're already in this habit of doing a certain thing in a certain way. And if you're not consciously working on that day in and day out, then it's so easy to just slip back into how things were. And that was the most frustrating thing too in our relationship, because it was that constant cycle of like, you changed, you went back to shit, or I changed, I went back to shit. And yeah, I think I'd like to say we've figured out a thing or two ever since then. Yeah.
I think the first thing that really helped was as soon as we started speaking each other's love language, it made it a whole lot easier. I mean, the funny thing is that when you get to know us, or as we talk, I guess, you'll realize that she has a completely different love language than I do. Yeah. I like physical touch. You know,
you like to get nasty. Just kidding.
I love to hug people. I love to kiss you. I love to just do things.
You like to be near physically as well.
Near physically. But when it comes to you, you're... I'm blanking out.
It's quality time.
Oh, it's quality time, yeah. Oh my gosh. Growing up, I never did that.
Just say you don't love me. You don't remember my quality time is my love language?
I do now. Quality time, I've never done that. Like, with my family growing up. We spend quality time like eating dinner together, and then after that, peace out, Girl Scouts. We're not gonna do that.
That's the thing. Like, your spending time together is really just physically being in the same vicinity as each other. Like, the way my family has quality time is very different than how your family does quality time too.
Her family's quality time is more like board games.
Yeah, we're like talking
and interacting with each other.
Yeah.
Ours is like, oh man, this was a great meal.
Yeah.
Goodbye. I'm gonna go watch we're gonna do our own shit now.
We're gonna collectively take a nap on the couch.
Yeah.
And wake up and then say bye to each other.
We're gonna wake up and then rinse, wash, and repeat, go eat dinner again, and then go take a nap.
Yeah.
And I think that was the biggest shock for us too. That
it was
struggled.
Because I remember for you, I would get these moments where I'm like, do you even love me? Like, I miss you. And this is when we were spending you were basically living with me at that point. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I literally see you every single day. I'm like, yeah, but like, we don't spend time together. And you're like, what? I took a nap with you. Like, what are you talking about?
That was the hard part because, like, for me to realize taking a nap with somebody is not quality time.
Yeah. I was like, all you do is fucking sleep.
And then, I'm a very logical person too. So when I'm like adding hours in my head, I'm thinking like, well, we just took a nap for 3 hours right there. And are you telling me that's not as good as watching a movie with you or doing an activity for an hour?
Yeah.
Are you shitting me? Like, logically, are you seeing this?
And then you would say that to me, like, what the fuck? Like, you're fucking with me right now. Like, we literally, I didn't talk to you at all, bro. You're literally drooling on me. That was the most contact I got that whole 3 hours. Yeah.
Man, that's taking us back.
I know.
But, you know, I think once we started to get I think you picked this up a lot faster than I did. You were able to hold my hand in public, which you don't do anymore.
I know. I forgot I
used
used
to do that all the time.
I don't like PDA, y'all.
So she's naturally anxious too. So
thanks.
I pick her up. I like pick up her hand just to hold it in public.
It's called anxiety, bro. I have anxiety.
And I think it's the funniest thing on earth. But you picked it up pretty fast too. But it took me a while to truly understand quality time.
I think it's so interesting looking back, because when would get in arguments or whatever, even now, I withhold the way you want to be loved in a way. Like, for example, we get in arguments, I physically turn my body away from you, or I'm like, oh, don't touch me. Yeah. And for you, back then, it was really hurtful, because you're like, that's how you would try to comfort me. You would,
we were fighting.
Yeah, you would try to
do that shit today.
I know.
Like, you're mad at me. You're like, don't touch me.
Because your love language is physical touch, and so for you, you're like, oh, I don't know how else to comfort you than to just physically touch you, and I'm like, don't fucking touch me right now. Like, I'm gonna slap the shit out of you. Yeah, and like I said, I feel like our relationship with the whole love languages and things, this is the first time I think it's really clicked for us, where you have taken all that you've learned and observed in the past 5.5 years, and you're really rocking it. Like, I remember in the past, I was like, I don't want to have to beg you to love me in this way. Like, I remember saying, oh, it's the little things. Like,
it's more like asking. She doesn't want me to ask. Here's the guys, for the guys listening.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to help you out here. This is a trigger warning here for y'all, okay? She wants me to know. What the fuck? Are you shitting me?
Yes, okay.
You just want me to know?
I wanted you to read my mind. What are you talking about?
If you want something, fucking tell me.
You're telling me that with your big ass head, you can't read my mind? You don't know exactly how I want you to show affection to me? What? Yeah.
But actually, this is a great segment to the next piece, too, about communication.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Like, we would always, you know, when you get to that point where you're telling me, like, oh, you're supposed to just know, right? And then you just start criticizing me, boom, boom, boom. And then it triggers me, and I'm like, well, you did this, and this, and this.
Yeah.
And the worst part during that time, too, because, like, we have a lot of other fights that we haven't addressed.
Mm-hmm. So it's just building up.
And it just builds up, and then we just unleash everything, too.
Yeah.
And I think that was the next, like,
that
phase
was a really big...
That was very, very hard for us
very
to
big
understand.
Lesson. Okay. I mean, I think we grew up with each other. Like...
Yeah, we did.
Not like brother, sister.
Sweet Home Alabama type of thing.
Like, because we got together so young. We're 18. We're like fresh babies, you know? Mm-hmm. Into this thing called adulthood. And we're like, what the fuck do we do out here? And we literally learned and grew together. And I think when you're young like that and you just want love, the love we see on social media and movies and stuff, it's like, it looks so easy. Like, oh, they click immediately. Like fucking Notebook. Oh, the passion is crazy. Yeah. You know? They're like making out in the rain and he's bringing her flowers and shit. Mm-hmm. And when you get into a relationship, and for us, we are two completely different people. Our love languages are opposite. Like, the way
Myers-Briggs is completely
everything,
opposite, too.
Yes, everything's fucking opposite. So it's like, we have to communicate. Like, even in general, even if you were with someone who is very similar to you, I had to realize me communicating needs is not, like, needy. I'm not losing. I'm not losing by telling you what I need. And I guess as a kid, because I was a kid, I thought, oh, if I have to ask him, then something's wrong. Mm-hmm. Like, he should just know these things because he loves me. Mm-hmm. But, like, how were you supposed to know that? Oh, when you go to the store and you see a bag of Takis that I want you to bring that home for me and be like, oh, Em, like, I thought of you. Here you go. Like, or how would you know that I want you to write me little notes in my lunch?
And
or
that's honestly like another form of your love language too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think we've read about this where when it comes to love languages, it's not just you're 100% this,
mm-hmm.
you're not 100% that.
Yeah.
It happens to be like if your love language is physical touch, you may be like 60 to 70% physical touch, and then the other remaining the 100%
mm-hmm.
is the other ones too.
Yeah.
And that's actually one thing that we struggled to learn at the very beginning as well.
Yeah. It's a mix of everything.
It's a mix of everything too. And honestly, things got better too as soon as we started learning about I did really. The Four Horsemen, because
we're bringing out all the things.
Oh yeah, really communication segment now.
Uh-huh.
The Four Horsemen of communication is basically.
Can we hold on?
What?
I'm gonna cut you off just for a second. I would just like to say all of these concepts that we're talking about right now were brought upon like my own discoveries, and I'm telling him about this shit, right? And he didn't realize all this stuff until way later. Like, I don't know if he read it himself or he discovered it. He's like, hey, let me tell you about this concept. I'm like, I fucking told you that 2 years ago. What are you fucking talking about?
It's so true.
Yeah.
So, she would see it in some like Instagram story
mm-hmm.
or reel like that. And then I read a lot too.
I also was a psychology major, bro.
That too.
I remember finding out about the Four Horsemen in my classes, and I came home and I was like, this is literally our relationship right now. Listen to me. And you're like, oh yeah, that's so interesting. And then we didn't apply any of it until like months later when you were like,
up
hey.
until I find and figure it out too.
Yeah.
Therapy literally helped me
mm-hmm.
discover that too.
Mm-hmm.
Learning to identify.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hardest part. At the very beginning is to be able to identify the moment, like, oh,
yeah,
this is the moment where it could be a turning point too. Where we say, okay, we can choose to be either hostile towards each
mm-hmm.
other, or we can choose to love each other.
Yeah.
And when you're able to identify the pattern too, because like it's super, super hard when you're in it, right? But when you start learning about these things, you're finally able to notice these patterns that you're in, and it's able to help you get out of it too.
I think I
break it.
Only wanted to be hostile to you.
Yeah, 100%.
We were ugly to each other. Like, the way we fought back then was
the way we fought,
terrible.
The way we talked to each other.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like a roasting session.
I think, and we've talked about this so many times, but our emotions always have other underlying emotions. So for me, anytime I was sad or heartbroken about something, a lot of those times I would channel that into anger, and like that was all I would show. Like I would criticize you, I would physically do things, throw things, I would say the nastiest shit because I'm like, oh, I'm so hurt, I want you to hurt too. Yeah. And
it's that cycle of like, what was that cycle again that I learned way back ago? I think it was called like the CBT model, where an event happens and then that event triggers a thought. Mm-hmm. A thought triggers an emotion. Mm-hmm. An emotion triggers an action. Yeah. And then an action triggers an event. And then the whole entire damn cycle happens over again.
Thank you, therapy.
Yeah.
Oh man, the era where you went to therapy and I was in therapy. I remember us trying to implement the strategies in the homework.
Think about that.
I remember, kind of using it against you at certain points in arguments. I'd be like, "Hey, you're being really."
That's what I would say.
You're being really fucking critical right now. Or like, oh, do you remember the I, you statements? Where it's like, you're supposed to say like, I feel this way when you do this thing, right? It's like a mode of, a formula for communication. But we would use it to our own advantage. I'd be like, I feel like you're being the biggest bitch right now when you...
I still don't agree with that thing. That doesn't work. It doesn't.
I don't think it worked in the way we were using it. We were the most condescending, assholes to each other.
But I think, therapy really helped us, again, discovering those patterns.
Yeah.
And then it was up to us at that point.
And I think it's also a lot of our inner work that had to be done. Because, like I said, we had all of our own separate issues that needed to be dealt with. And I think we, as individuals, have done a lot of work on our own to grow by ourselves. And I feel like that is why our relationship is the way it is now, too. Because we've done that work by ourselves. And so now we're able to come together, sorted through some of the mess from our own things, like on our inner work, right?
Yeah.
And now we're better able to communicate with one another.
Yep.
Because I think a lot of my stuff stem from, like, the reason how I function in the relationship stem from my own issues with family and all that stuff.
I think all of it ties together.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's all connected too.
Yeah.
It's like, was that thing that we would talk about how anything is how you do everything, right?
I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Must have been a different bitch.
we talked about this before.
Sorry, I'm not toxic anymore. I've changed. I'm better.
It's like, so say for example, a good example is the Four Horsemen, right? By the way, we haven't explained that to them.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember all of them. So
well, number one is critical. Whenever you're being critical towards somebody.
Okay, hold on. Let's back up. So the Four Horsemen are basically 4 concepts or like modes of communication.
No, it's 4 things that create a bad communication.
Yes, that get in the way of good communication. So the first one is like being critical.
So if you're like criticizing a person for what they've done, for an action they've done,
you're so lazy because you forgot to do
that naturally triggers them to be
defensiveness.
So and then when you get the person gets defensiveness, which is the second horseman, they feel attacked, so they just want to withdraw, or they want to be critical back too, and it's actually an endless loop.
So this is like, I guess, how people react when it comes to communication.
Yep.
So you can react in these 4 different ways as well. You can become critical, you can become defensive, you can stonewall, where you're just like, you know what, I'm done. Like,
and you just walk away.
Or like I do that a lot. I've done that a lot, where I'm like, okay, you're right. You're totally right. Like, I was wrong. And then I just stop talking.
It's annoying.
I know.
I think I see girls do this all the time, where they just give up and say, okay, whatever. Yeah, you're right. But you know damn well you don't agree. The other person is
I make it real known that I say you're right, but you know in the way I said it, oh, you're really fucking wrong.
And then I don't remember the last one.
Then we said 4.
No.
What? Okay.
We said
critical, defensive,
stonewall,
and then you said withdrawal, right?
No.
That's what stonewalling.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's my 4th one.
It's just it's really, really bad, and you shouldn't do it. We are professional psychologists, if you couldn't tell.
You gotta put a disclaimer at the very beginning, right?
There's a 4th one in there somewhere.
Yeah. But I think those are the ones that like were really relevant to us, because the stonewalling happens to deal with like my what's that attachment theory name? Avoidant side.
Yeah.
Where I just want to avoid the issues too.
Yes.
And it just stacks on stacks on stacks.
Oh my gosh. I think that is a legendary problem that we had.
Where we have a problem and I just like walk away, or I just don't want to deal with it.
Fucking attachment styles. Like, if you couldn't already tell, have an anxious attachment style. And Michael has an avoidant attachment style.
Yeah, explain what it is first.
Yes, I'm getting there, bro. Right. So, the biggest issues we had was in our relationships, in our arguments. When emotions get hella fucking high, our attachment styles come out. So, with an anxious attachment style, I naturally... Let me give an example. I feel like context helps people understand this best. So, let's say we get an argument and we're both super mad at each other. We had a problem or whatever. For me, in the past, he's like, oh, I want to go to sleep. I'm tired.
Like, let's take a break because we're at this for like 3 hours straight.
Yes, it's like 4 or 5 in the morning and we've been going at it. At this point, there's not anything productive about this conversation. Like, we're just going at each other. All the horsemen are coming out, okay? And he's like, you know what? Like, can we just talk about this tomorrow? Or I'm really fucking tired. No, you wouldn't say a break. This is after, okay?
Oh, would I say that?
No, you're just like, I'm tired. Or there's times where you actually fell asleep. I'm talking about way in the beginning.
Oh, wait, you're talking about, like, y'all, okay. She's crazy. Let me tell you how crazy she is.
No,
no, hold on.
I'm explaining, okay? Sit down. Even though you already sat down. Okay. He wants to go to sleep because he wants to avoid this conversation. He's done with it. He's like, this is already too much for me. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I just want to sleep away my problems. Me, being the anxious attachment style, I'm like, no, I want to fix this right here, right now. I don't fucking care how long it's going to take. We're going to stay up till however long, 24 hours. We're going to solve this now because in my mind, like, if I don't solve this now, if I let him go to sleep, then our relationship is over and love is dead.
For me, I'm thinking, like, since I'm the one that has avoided, like,
you feel trapped.
You feel trapped.
Yeah.
We've been at this for fucking hours on end.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point? I keep doing this. We're going around in circles. That's a key thing in my head.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, like, we've been talking about the same shit for the past 3 to 4 hours, and we're getting nowhere.
Yeah.
I think we need a break. And I think taking a break would help, too. And that's kind of the hardest part because it feels like...
And that like, occurred in our relationship so many times in our arguments. Like, there were even times where you physically tried to leave. This is way. Like, I can think one of our first arguments... Do you remember when your car got towed that one night?
Oh, man, I was so pissed off.
So... He came to my apartment and we're like trying to discuss. I remember I had to go to work and I was like, obviously he's really fucking pissed off, but he just stormed out of the apartment, like in mid argument. I'm like, what the fuck? No explanation, whatever. And that was an example of you avoiding as well. Or there are other times where you've gotten arguments and you try to leave. And what did I do? I was an anxious attachment style. Also, I was a crazy bitch. I went and I followed him and I literally blocked his car with my body, or I blocked your car door so you can get in, and then there were times where you did get in, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll just go in front. Yeah.
Like, how stupid it is.
Because I was like, if you leave, then it's over, and that's my anxious attachment style. For you, you're like, fuck this, I don't fucking care anymore, I just need to get out of here, like, I'm so angry and pissed, and I think that was one of our biggest lessons, where...
And to be clear... Neither was the answer.
Yeah. No.
But
I think for us, we slowly learned that was one of our systems that we created, the break. Because you're talking about how you're like, oh, let's take a break. But in the beginning, a break wasn't even in the equation. And eventually we had to come to agreements.
But it has to be said in a certain way.
Yeah.
You can't just say, oh, let's go on a break. No.
Yeah.
Because then that only satisfies my attachment style when it comes to basically, oh, we've been at this for hours, we need to chill. Cool, it satisfies me, but what about her?
Yeah.
Right? And for her, she's thinking like, well, if we took a break, at what time? Huh?
Yeah. Because I just felt...
At what exact freaking time? Right? Or else I'm going to lose my shit. I'm going to go crazy. And, damn well, as a anxious attachment style, they want to know exactly to the T on what's going to happen next, a play-by-play.
I think for me, I remember feeling whenever we discuss bringing in a break during arguments, when we're at that point of no return, where you're like, oh, let's take a 30-minute break.
Yeah.
I think for me, I remember telling you, like, oh, that feels so unfair, though. What about me? Because, like, in those 30 minutes, I'm still suffering. Like, I'm still in my head. I'm going through it. And it seems like for you, you're just watching YouTube videos and you're having a grand old time and you get to come back all refreshed. And I'm still literally thinking, oh my God, my relationship's ending.
Yeah.
And so that was a key component that we had to add in, was, I think, the reassurance part, where, hey, I'm the one, as the avoidant, I'm the one who's initiating this break. It's going to be 30 minutes. I love you, and I want to work on this, and I'm coming back. And I think that was really key, because I was like, you're not fucking coming back. Like, you're going to go watch YouTube videos, and you're going to forget about this, and yeah.
Hey, that's pretty good acting.
Did it bring you back?
Yeah, it bring me back a little bit. That's pretty, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think, like, when I was able to, like, validate you and reassure you, you were like, oh, okay. Eventually, it took time. It wasn't right off the bat. As soon as I said it, you're good to go.
Yeah.
I think it was after I repracticed it over and over and over. You come to your brain or subconscious probably realizes, oh yeah, you know what? We are going to talk about this later.
I think. Yeah, you're right. That's a really good point. Because
it just didn't happen overnight.
No, not at all. I was not okay with that for a really long time, actually. And now that you say that, in this moment, I'm thinking, like, when did that switch happen? Because I feel like now, today, I'm, like, okay with the break. And now I'm the one who, like, yeah.
We need a break.
You need to get away from me. Like, even today, I was like, okay, I think you need to decompress. Like, I'm going to sit here and not say anything. And I don't know when that shift happened, because now I'm suddenly okay with...
It's subtle. It's subtle.
Over time. And I think, like you said, it's that reassurance and security in the relationship. Because I was very insecure and didn't feel safe that this relationship was... Like, I felt like, oh, this one argument, that's the end of it. We've blown up this whole relationship, you know? And now, as we've been more mature and we've grown, in my mind now, I'm like, oh... We're in an argument. It's fine. Like, we're going to figure it out eventually.
Just another Tuesday.
Yeah, just another Tuesday. Wow. I also think you talked about how this took us such a long time to figure out.
It's because, like, I truly didn't understand how you felt. Like, it took me, like, reading books on end and asking and learning about other people's relationships to understand that. Because if you think about it, too, the majority of the population, from a statistics standpoint...
Oh, gosh.
They reside within, let's just say, within one standard deviation of the population. They reside in either an anxious attachment style or a avoidant, right? Yeah. And then you have a very, very, very small percentage that has a secure attachment style, and then an extremely small population.
Fearful avoidant.
It's called fearful avoidant, which is a combination of avoidant and also anxious attachment style. Which those people out there.
Are fucked up.
They're fucked up. And they're miserable, too. And I feel bad for them. Because the best part about all of us going through this struggle right here is that we really learn how, like, child development really impacts adults, too. And no matter how good or bad your situation is, you're going to come out fucked up. Okay?
Yeah. But thanks, Mom and Dad.
But I think the key is, like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because it's normal. Because all of us are going to be like that, too. It's just the question of, do you choose to be able to work on that?
I think it's also, like, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
And I think that you were in denial about a lot of things.
No.
Oh, no? No? I feel like you are being very defensive in this. No, I wouldn't say in denial. I think what is key is that you weren't ready to receive that information.
Yeah, that was the hardest part too. For you to
same for me, yeah. Well, I think there are a lot of things that I also wasn't ready to receive. You know, communication goes both ways. You know, you have the communicator, you also have someone on the receiving end, and you can tell someone something so many times, but if they're not ready to accept that message, then there's no getting through to them.
You were always good at that. You were always good at knowing that, and then instead of providing them a solution, validating them. For me, I'm the complete opposite. I'm thinking like, oh, you're a fucking idiot. Yeah. You know this is the problem, yet you still keep doing this. Like, are you kidding me? Are you shitting me?
So are you talking to yourself? Because that was you all these years,
exactly. No, really. Here I am. But now I come to realize that what you said right there of they have to be ready is so key too. Yeah. And that's, I think, also the next hardest part too was for me to learn how to validate you and your emotions, to be able to hear you instead of just listening to what you're saying.
And I think, I mean, it got to that point where I realized, oh, he's not going to listen to me. Like, oh, we really aren't on the same page. Our priorities are not the same. Like, I think for me, for the longest time, my priority was fixing the relationship and making things better. And we can be candid. I mean, we can be brutally honest.
Oh, there we go. Good.
That wasn't really your priority.
No.
You know, for the longest time. And ladies, I did leave okay? I didn't deal with the shit. And we can get into the whole nuts and bolts of why we broke up at that time. It was also my fault, too, with things we'll get into another day. But there was that point where I was like, yeah, I'm going to stop wasting my breath. And I feel like that breakup was probably one of the best things for our relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest jump we had.
Yeah, because when we came back, you know, I did so much growing. I learned how to love myself, and I, you know, made discoveries on my own. You also made discoveries, learned a lot about yourself. And when you came back, you really showed me, oh, I've taken what you've told me, and I'm going to work with it, and I'm going to be better. Mm-hmm. And you showed me that. And I think it's also, when it comes to a lifelong partner, you want someone who's willing to do better. Someone who's willing to put work into changing. Like, okay, our relationship isn't the best right now, but we're both going to figure out how to make it better.
You can't will the other person.
Yeah. I think that was my big. I was like,
part, Michelle,
why are you not doing this? I'm trying so hard.
To give you a reference, right? My attitude, and it's always been like this, was like, cool, you're going to leave me? Cool, I'll get it.
I'm like, oh, okay.
Let's
you
go.
You want me to leave?
I'm more like work 24/7 to you. You're drop dead.
Yeah. But that was...
It's like hustle culture.
That was also your ego, though.
It was.
You know? That was you're like, oh, yeah, you want to leave, leave. And I was like, okay, you're going to be really fucking lonely. And what do you know? You were.
I was not.
Okay, bro. So, yeah. Oh, my gosh. It's been an hour.
Oh, has it really?
8 minutes. Wow. I feel like this was kind of all over the place, but...
Not really. I think it flew. I mean, it progressed.
Yeah.
Towards a relationship. We talked about the cycles, right?
Mm-hmm.
We just really just walked through from year 2 to now year 5 or 6. Yeah. We're here. And, y'all, that's really how long it took.
Yeah.
It took us 4 years to be able to practice that.
But
implement it.
Also, I feel like there's this kind of misconception from our friends right now. I've talked with a couple of our friends where they're like, oh my god, like you and Michael are so good now. Or whenever I disclose to them like, oh, we've been having issues, they're like, what? Yeah. Like, y'all are so good, like you're so cute. And I think us talking about how we're on the same page and stuff this era, it's been great. It, you know, I don't want to give the impression that we're great, because we're not. Like, I think long-term relationships, it is normal for you to argue. Ebb and flow. Yes. Relationships ebb and flow. We're going to have good days. We're going to have bad days. And
it's important to have the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Because if you're always out having like good days, then like how can you tell what is a good day?
I think we should normalize wanting to break up with your partner. Like, I know, I still
what the hell?
No, you cannot tell me that there are days where you're like, fuck this, how like, ugh.
No, but that's the hardest part we learned. Like, the difference between loving somebody and liking somebody. There are some fucking days I really fucking hate her. I can't stand her.
Tell me how you really feel.
Like, oh, y'all. Lord. Man, I'm thinking about different ways to throw her off a cliff.
Oh. Okay, this is evidence right here. If something happens to me.
But that's just part of it, too. But then there's some days that I love her so much. I'm thinking like, wow, I can't wait to have a future with you.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't wait to do more things with you and travel more places with you.
Wow. But yeah. No,
there. Trauma bonding right there. High and low.
No, there are definitely days where I'm like looking at you while you're sleeping. Like if I just cover his face, you know, he might be gone.
But that's the difference though, at the end of the day though, no matter what. I think I've built a great habit, and I've taught you especially, that I always love you at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. Even when I'm mad.
Yeah. Even when I don't fucking like you, I still love you.
Well, the saying that we say is like, I love you even though I hate you.
I love you even though I don't like you right now.
Even though I don't like you right now, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's super easy for me to say, but she's like grinding her teeth whenever I have to pull it out of her. Mm. And then whenever she doesn't say it, I have to give her the perspective of I can walk outside tomorrow, get run over
by a car,
And you're gonna be like, oh, I wish I would have said I loved him.
You know, it's just you do some things that just really fucking annoy me. Like, when you take the biggest shit of your life and you literally leave the toilet bowl splattered and you leave it there. Oh, are you embarrassed right now because I'm exposing you?
Oh, Lord.
Okay, you leave it there and I'm going to the bathroom to go do my business, right? And I open the toilet seat and there's just a big ass surprise for me. This has happened on multiple occasions, you guys. No, this has happened, I would say, a solid 3 times already within the past 2 weeks.
Why you do this to me?
So, yeah, I don't like you in those times when I have to flush.
I would like to point out, you're bullying a person with ADHD. Can you get canceled?
Oh, you're saying because you're ADHD, you forget to flush?
I get distracted.
How do you forget to flush such a monstrosity in the freaking toilet bowl?
Because you close it, right? And then, like, something happens, you hear a sound like that, and you're like, squirrel.
Oh, okay. I'll try to keep that in mind and extend some grace to you next time I see something in the toilet.
It's so embarrassing.
You know, I think you're in denial about a lot of things, but I'm also in denial about a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like how I'm lactose intolerant. I'm not. But I will say, earlier, I had some of my Sonic Blast, right? Uh-huh. And then I was sitting on the office chair, and I was like, oh man, I really have to fart. And I was gonna fart, but then I felt, I think something else is coming out. So I went to the bathroom, and it literally just started coming out like hot lava. So I almost sharped myself today.
What the fuck? All that while I'm freaking out at work. And stressing out at work.
Yeah. Wow. How representative of us talking about shit.
At the end of a podcast.
I guess we will.
Maybe this is how you can end your podcast now.
End it?
Yeah.
Talking about my bowel movements?
Or people. Yeah.
Okay.
You've been struggling on trying to find an ending.
Yeah. Well, I think we will wrap it up because we have puppers to take care of.
Yeah.
And I think I have to go to the bathroom again.
Oh. Fuck.
Okay.
Good session now.
Thanks for listening, friends. Thanks for coming on the show, baby.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed this. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was a trip down memory lane.
Ew, why are you talking like that?
Because it was.
Okay, bro. I'm gonna cut it out.
Love you. Bye.
Love you. Ew, no. Okay, bye.